YouTube, what is up? We are back with another day. We got cleans, we got squats, and we're gonna rip it today. We actually tried to run this day Friday, and I was just completely fucking shot. I started cleaning, and there was no intent to that day, so I just did a bunch of jumps on Friday. Had a tournament yesterday, went 20 for 24 in the tournament. Swings feeling down, so that was good. And today, hopefully, we're going to get out the cleans. Hopefully, it's a lot better day than Friday. I was picking up like 225 on Friday and feeling like death. So I think we're going to do actual split cleans today. So we're going to hit that split clean position and then a 7-rep max on the squats, call it a day there. And we're going to cover why I became a strength coach and how to train around injuries. So it should be a pretty good day. Let's get after it. Let's go. The left hammy and back is a little beat up from yesterday's tournament. We had 8 games in about... We were there from 8 a.m. to midnight yesterday and got up today. The body overall is feeling good, but just feeling a little beat up. Just going to warm up here with the bar. Going to hit a couple complexes here, hit the warm-ups. We'll hit some split cleans, and then we'll hit some squats, and then we'll get out of here. Let's get after it. All right, one more set of warm-ups, and then we are going to start hitting the split cleans. Got to get the Trader Joe's, get some of their spinach artichoke dip that they got there, make some meal prep for the week, and then watch some football tonight. Let's get it. All right, let's get to some split cleans here. I'm going to do most of them with the split clean onto that right leg, into that right leg lunge. That right toe, still pretty fucked up. Broke it like a year and a half ago. Any heavy forces on it, makes me feel like I want to die in there. There's something jacked up in that big toe. I've got back to being able to do reverse lunges pretty decently, but there's still something there that's a little goofed up, and I'm not going to a doctor's office anytime to go get an MRI or anything like that on it, or go get surgery on my big toe. That's pretty soft. I can do everything else besides the lunge right now. So we're gonna do a lot of right foot stuff, but we'll warm up with the left foot. You'll see the difference in the skill set there. I'm gonna play around with some straps on the lighter Olympic lifts. I've been kind of hating using straps on the Olympic lifts. Feels like I'm too locked into the bar, and I've seen different Olympic lifting straps that allow you to let go a little bit easier. Ordered a pair of those, gonna mess around with these, but also saw a technique where you don't wrap it all the way around. I think I was wrapping them like I would deadlift, where it was all the way around instead of just one loop, which I just saw a guy do on Instagram, and I was like, oh, that's really smart. I don't know why I haven't been doing it, but I felt like I was too locked into the bar. It was a little sketch, like I'm gonna fucking die if I don't get this up. So I'm gonna keep that one loop and then order the new straps, try those out, but just fuck around with these today. Let's get it. Those felt and probably look like ass. Front rack position with the straps just feel like shit. Got to fix that. I'll play around with straps one more set and then probably ditch them after. Let's go. All right, this is the second set here. Just rewatched that video. That front rack position with the straps feels like it was fucking catching it here instead of getting it up. And that elbow did not love the feeling of that. So hopefully I'm going to try the straps here, get all the way through with that front rack position, and then hopefully get after these. Let's go. I'm gonna fucking rage quit. These feel like dick right now. That strap was really jacking up that elbow. We're gonna go no straps, keep it the right leg, get a win for the day, or we're gonna kill ourselves. Really hoping that elbow is a strap thing, and I was just too focused on getting the straps right and through, and not an actual elbow thing. Otherwise, we're probably gonna have to cut cleans today because it it feels like it's about to explode. So I'll stop bitching about it. But if we do have to cut cleans, that is why. Experimenting with straps because we never used them in high school. I think this is like a lot of the messages we receive as kids we kind of hold on to for way too long. In high school, we were told straps and belts were for the weak, and like you should never use straps and belts. So for the longest time, I didn't use straps and belts. And you could say there's a benefit there. I developed a grip, and it was probably a good time to develop a grip in high school rather than just always using the straps. But also, we just had zero exposure to straps, especially when it came to Olympic lifting. We never used them, and we never deadlifted in high school either. So definitely something I just want to get more accustomed to. I use them for the deadlifts and stuff like that, but I just see a lot of people use them for Olympic lifting, and I feel like I want to get accustomed to just being able to do that and use them. But that really felt like shit. I don't know if that was actually the straps itself or was it the elbow and swings from yesterday or what, but hopefully they fucking lock in. Let's go. For how athletic split snatches feel, these could not feel more unathletic. I feel like such a piece of garbage right now, and the body feels good. I literally just think it's this variation that's kicking my ass right now. We got to lock in to save this session. Let's go. All right, so we're gonna have to hit some singies here. Otherwise, that elbow's actually gonna explode. I don't think it was the straps, or maybe it was the straps that caused it, and now it's here. But I think it's probably softball. But it's right in here. You see how it feels like it's about to snap in half. On this topic, I was gonna talk about how to train around injuries, and it's good. You have a fucking injury, you have something that's hurt on you, whatever. Like, how do you train around it? What do you do if you're always hurt in the training? Like, how do you get training done? And I kind of think it's similar to the whole thought process of how, like, drunk words are like sober thoughts, and like being drunk just allows you to say, like, for a lot of people, it just like gives them the green light to say whatever they want. Same thing that they were thinking when they're sober, but now they say when they're drunk, whatever, like that whole saying. I think how you train when you're injured is just a reflection of how you were actually training when you're healthy. It just looked better when you're healthy, right? Like, I've seen kids and athletes that trained really fucking hard when they were healthy, and then when they get injured, they fucking find a way, and they train really fucking hard when they were injured. And the same kids where it was like, they were looking for every excuse not to train hard, every excuse not to do the work that they were supposed to do when they were healthy. As soon as they get injured, that's their green card. That's their thing that allows them to get out of actually working hard. And it's like, well, I have a boot on. I can't do anything. When you're injured, there is so much that you can do. Not even talking rehab. Let's say we're totally disregarding the rehab of the actual, let's say you sprain your ankle, right? I know kids where if they sprain their ankle, they will sit on a bike for 40 fucking minutes for the entire session. When I was at the college thing, the athletic trainers would tell them, you just got a bike today. They have a sprained ankle. They got a boot. We can work our entire upper body. We can work our whole left side of the body. Like, not only is it going to heal, speed up the healing process, and like there's a bunch of studies showing why that's the case. Let's just stimulate the rest of the body and grow so that when we take that boot off, we are still ready. One where we stayed ready, and we also made a lot of progress. I had two kids that when I was at St. Thomas, they came in with knee injuries as freshmen. So they were high school seniors. They came in with 2 ACLs. And we had them as freshmen, and then they ran Jake Tura's whole hypertrophy program basically to a T without working the right side. They did rehab for their knee with their PTs, and then they ran the hypertrophy program with us for their entire upper body and basically left side of the body as we were going through everything. And both of them put on 30 pounds when they were injured, right? Like, it was crazy. 30 pounds of, like, I mean, it wasn't all, they're offensive linemen, so it's not all beautiful muscle, but they got way bigger, way stronger. And the next year, both of them came back much better players than when they started, right? So I really do believe using an injury as your excuse not to train, obviously that specific body part, yes, but using your injury as an excuse not to train, you were finding excuses not to train when you're healthy in that same setting, right? And that's okay. Like, I think it's okay if you just admit it, but using that as your excuse, using that as the reason why you have to hop on the bike rather than hit the workout with your team, I think is a pitiful excuse, and I think somebody needs to tell you that for the most part. And then when it comes to the actual injury itself, if you're looking to rehab the injury, there are so many things that you can do when the thing is injured, when the thing is in a cast, right? Well, let's say it is a sprained ankle. You don't need to sit there and load it up with a Bulgarian or a heavy single leg stand, but even just marches, stepping on it, left and right, man. Left and right. Maybe we do some toe curls. Maybe we do some ankle circles. Maybe we do some side to sides, right? And maybe we do that for 1,000 reps throughout the day, right? There's so much stimulus. There's so much stuff that you can get done. And obviously follow your, maybe I shouldn't say follow your PT's advice because you could have a shit PT, but find a PT you trust, follow their advice, do the stuff. But if you're just looking for guidance, there is stimulus you can get done when you are injured that 90% of athletes are not getting done because they kind of just use it as the same excuse they were looking for when they're healthy, but now they got that excuse, right? You want to train when you're injured is pretty easy, right? You have the rest of the body. Go train the rest of the body really, really hard. Stay away from the injured part, and when you train the injured part or you're rehabbing the injured part, progress to what you're able to so you can progress to where you want to go. Watch how much faster you heal and watch how much faster you come back and how much progress you can make during this time, right? And I really do believe for a lot of athletes, and I've seen it over and over again, injuries can be a catalyst to become a totally different athlete than you were before, because it locks you and it makes you realize, oh, I have all these weak points I need to work on. And a lot of times it just slows things down and breaks you out of the character of that athlete or that human that you were playing before. Takes away that identity. If you were the star player, you were the starter, and now you're not, you're like, oh fuck, what do I got to do with my life? And a lot of times it can allow you to reset, get to work, realize why you're doing what you're doing. A lot of athletes have used that as a catalyst to really go from maybe it's a starter to a superstar, or a star to a superstar, right? Or a bench player to a starter, and that's the thing that catalyzes it. But for as many athletes as there are that allow that to be their catalyst, there's so many athletes that allow it to be their excuse not to train, not to work hard. I think if you are finding those excuses, I think you should look at how you were training when you were healthy. Honestly, a lot of times how you were training when you were healthy led to why you were getting hurt in the first place, and it kind of all ties in together as to who you are as a human, who you are as an athlete. Maybe even who you are is like, why are you doing the sport if that is your effort that you put in, if you are finding these excuses not to play. And maybe that is your catalyst to be like, I don't fucking like this sport, I don't like what I'm doing here, I want to go do something else. And that's amazing too. But I think to kind of sit in that middle ground and just say, well, I have a boot on, I can't do anything, I think it's just a waste of your life, and I don't think we should waste days on this planet. I think we got too few of them to waste on this planet doing that, right? So stop sitting on the fucking bike for 30 minutes because your PT/AT is just too lazy to tell you to do something. You have 99% of the rest of your body to go train. Go train it hard, rehab hard, level up yourself as an athlete so you come back, all right? So let's get after it here. I'm getting absolutely bodied by this variation. I gotta lock the fuck in. Oh my God, I'm gonna go insane. We're hitting one more single. I have completely lost interest in this variation. One more single, then we're gonna squat. It's one of those days, man. All right, let's send this elbow to the gulag and rip this. Let's go, lock in. Let's go. We could definitely do more. The last two sets actually felt good, but that elbow is actually gonna snap. I'm done fucking, I need to stop bitching about it. Let's get to squats. All right, then 7 rep max here with the squats. Let's rip. Training-wise, this is definitely gonna be one of those very unimpressive, very disappointing, just work days, man. And I fucking, especially when I'm recording these days, I get so down when it's not a PR, when I'm not crushing, when everything's not like amazing for the camera. These are the days that matter. Like, these are the days that add up. These are the days that you can't skip. These are the days that you just gotta get a little bit of work done, stimulate the body, squeeze out of it what you can. Not a day you fucking take off. It's not a deload day. These are the days, these are the data points you add up for yourself. Not even for yourself mentally, but just physically. Like, you just add up for yourself. You hit those 7 rep max squats, you hit those fucking shitty cleans. So then the next time you go and do cleans, you got that stimulus done, and you're taking that 1% growth, man. But it's just, when you're in those mental grinder days where it just feels like everything's shit, it is shit. That's all right, just admit it's shit. Just get your work done, keep it simple, get in, get out, fucking rip. Let's go. Now, if all your training days are shit and it's consistent like this, it's probably something programming-wise, diet-wise, recovery-wise that you need to focus on a little bit more. But I'm a couple weeks removed from a bunch of PRs. Last week of training has actually felt really good. I'm just kind of being a little bitch mentally because I didn't hit a fucking PR today. I'm gonna fucking cry about it and whine about it. Like, dude, go to fucking work. I got the question, like, how do you stick with your diet even on the weekends? And I think there's a big psychological piece with the diet too, and like your relationships. And I think a lot of diet, I think a lot of people are more addicted to food. They're using food as their drug, their escape, especially a lot of sober people. I know I use this a lot, especially when I was sober. I used food as my drug, right? Like when I was depressed or feeling sad or feeling lonely, I would go eat food without even realizing I was doing this. So I get there's that piece. But a lot of it's just like, there's gonna be days where you just wanna fucking pig out. There's gonna be days when you just wanna be a piece of shit. And if you have a goal, you just gotta say no, right? I'm not fully into the whole stoic thing of like never listen to your body, never listen to your emotions. But I also believe you are not your emotions, and you do have a little bit more control than a lot of people are pushing you to believe recently. And I think the more you just prove to yourself that you're able to not listen and that you aren't your emotions, honestly, the happier you are and the better you are with your emotions. So it's kind of like a double benefit, right? You get the benefit, the physical benefits of like not listening to the urge in the moment, but you also end up just being a happier person because of it. So you fix your emotions, right? You rewire that brain. So moral of the story, just don't be a bitch, man. And I'm talking to myself here. I'm not talking to anybody else. Just don't be a fucking bitch. Let's go. Final note on all that training stuff. I think it's really easy for you to get stuck in the nihilistic holes, as at least it is for myself, especially when you're playing your sport, all the things in sport are going right, where you just kind of lie to yourself and you say, none of it matters. Like if you have a bad training day, it doesn't matter. You have a bad training day, it doesn't matter. And in the moment, that one bad training day doesn't matter. What matters is the momentum that one bad training day, if you psychologically approach it in the sense of it doesn't matter, in that nihilistic sense, then you have 2 bad training days. Then you skip a couple training days. Then you skip a training week. Then you skip a training month, right? And I would say about a year ago, I was really stuck in that rabbit hole where nothing fucking mattered. I just kept telling myself that nothing mattered, nothing mattered, nothing mattered. And it's a tough cycle to get out of. And the more you prove to yourself that nothing matters, less things actually start to matter for you. And then it's really fucking hard to show up for yourself. Then it's really hard to show up to training. Then it's really hard to show up to your job. Then it's really hard to show up for your teammates. Really hard to show up in your relationships. Really hard to show up as a coach, right? And that's when things really start to get dangerous. That's when your performance really starts to plummet. That's when things really start to actually matter, is when you really start to think things don't matter, right? So like these bad training days do matter. You do have to get them in. Just because they suck, just because it's not the highest stimulus in the world, just because it's not the greatest stimulus in the world, doesn't mean it doesn't matter. You cannot approach it that way, because otherwise tomorrow's not gonna matter. Then the next day is not gonna matter. And then that week did matter. Not getting that stuff done in that week did matter, and not getting that stuff done in that month did matter. I've caught myself, and I've probably had 2 or 3 of these really nihilistic points in my life where I've gone like 6 months without really trying on anything, without really trying in training, without really trying in my business, without really trying as a coach, without really trying as an athlete. And the deeper you get stuck in that hole, the harder it is to get out, man. And once you get stuck in those holes, it's the same as momentum that goes in the right way. Momentum can go in the wrong way. And the Atomic Habit books, the book is kind of a basic book, but it's really helpful. Again, just because it's a basic book, just because everybody's read it in quotations, doesn't mean everybody's actually reading it or understanding it or implementing anything that it says. And the basic thing in the Atomic Habit book is like, don't break the chain. Just because it's a bad day, just because you had a cheat day, or just because you had a bad diet day, or you had a bad training day, you don't have 2 in a row. Right? You don't break the chain of momentum. And the more I experience in life those nihilistic kind of trends, the more I realize how important that is to show up, to actually just get the work in. There would have been, especially when I'm in nihilistic states, where I would have touched the bar like I touched it today. I would have felt that elbow, and I would just been like, all right, we're done today, right? And some coaches would have said that's the right decision. You followed your whoop score. But then the next day would have been also shit, right? I would have never got out of that nihilistic hole, right? So the only way to get out of the nihilistic hole is to actually get out of the fucking hole and to do work, right? So again, a lot of life is just this momentum game, and it's not even necessarily a positive momentum game. When things aren't going perfect, when things are not amazing, and I'm talking about this as if like my training has been completely shit. I'm not in one of these holes. I'm talking as if I were in one of these holes, and I know a lot of athletes that are in these holes because they've told me, they've DM'd me, I've worked with them. I don't want to sound completely like depressed or anything like that here because of one bad training day. I just felt that, like I felt that voice again, and I just want to talk about from that voice and how I get out of that voice. But it's really important to get out of that voice by just shutting that voice off and just getting that work done. And then you show up again tomorrow, and that voice a lot of times is not there if you broke it. And if you are stuck in that nihilistic hole, that voice will be there tomorrow, and it'll be there the next day, and it'll be there the next day until you prove to yourself and to that voice enough that you're not going to listen to it, right? And sometimes, a lot of times, it takes twice as long to shut that voice off as it took to listen to it, right? So like if it took me 3 months to get into that voice and listening to that voice every day, it's probably gonna take me 6 months to get out. And I've been in training sessions where it's taken me 6 months to feel like I had some sort of fucking momentum, whether it was business or training wise, or athletic goals, or relationship goals, or coaching goals, right? It's taken 6 months to get out of it. During those 6 months, everything feels just so fucking empty and so pointless, but you just continually have to prove to yourself that it's not. Find the small win in that day. Prove to yourself that data point that you have that made forward momentum, and just get the work in. So again, I don't want to make it sound, I just realized this whole session, it's probably talking from a character too much, just bitching about that elbow. Like, it's not actually in one of those holes right now at all. It's just one bad training day. I understand that, but I just wanted to talk from that voice, from hearing that voice again, and how I've listened to that voice before, and I've been told listening to that voice is the smart thing. I've been told listening to that voice, you're just listening to your body, you're listening to your emotions, and I've fallen for that trap before, and it's total bullshit. It takes a long time to get out of those holes if you let yourself listen into that. So whenever you feel that voice, whenever you feel like you're stuck in those ruts, or if you are in one of those ruts, just realize it's going to take a little bit to get out of that rut. But again, the only way to get out of that rut is to actually like take a step forward to get out of that rut, right? And put the bar on your back, keep squatting. Maybe it's making the post. Maybe you feel nihilistic about your business and the Instagram because the posts aren't working, or you took a couple weeks off the post. But again, you show up tomorrow, you make the post. You show up tomorrow, you make the post. You show up the next day, you make the post. You show up the next day, you put the bar on your back. You keep going, and momentum starts to grow, and then things start to get hot. And then that's the trick. When things start to get hot, you have to continue on that hot streak. You have to keep going on that hot streak, because when you get on that hot streak, you're gonna start to feel that momentum, and you get a little bit lazy, and that voice comes back in, and you get nihilistic, and you get stuck in these fucking ebbs and flows, man. And you kind of like let life happen to you rather than like make life happen. I think it's a poor way to approach life. And again, I'm saying that as a person that has done that and has experienced that and has thought that was the right way to do things. Not even the right way to do things, just fallen into that trap. And I don't think it's the right trap to fall into. So let's stop talking like we're fucking depressed here. We're not. I get it. We're just squatting here. It's really not that deep. So let's put the bar in the back. Let's get it. Oof. Woo. One more set here. Those actually felt decent. See? Bitch about enough stuff, good things happen. All right, last set here. If we get this would actually be a win on the day, and I'd be pretty proud of that. So that's a way to pull yourself out of a little bitch fest hole. Let's get it. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. One more. Ah, there we go. Woo. Let's go. We're gonna hit a hip accessory, a couple Nordics, then get out of here. We got these prone ball squeezes here. 100 total reps, hit 50 the first set, and we got 50 total Nordics. We got 15 Nordics left on the Nordics, pairing these two together. This one's nice and money. Goal is to squeeze this ball, squeeze, rotate out, and we're gonna come back in, squeeze, come back out. We got 50 of them, just greasing the grooves there of the hips. You'll feel this one, absolute money. Let's go. Oh, God damn, those are spicy. Woo, those are good. You'll notice a lot of athletes that won't be able to rotate with their hips like that. This one's absolute money. I like biasing this either the week before or of with a minute ISO, 2-minute ISO, squeezing that. That's what we did last week. We're squeezing that position, really feeling that, opening it up, and then greasing the grooves after, because if the athlete can't get into it. It's really nice also to have a partner resisted or assisted stretch there, where they're giving you resistance, so you're pushing against it, or they're pulling you into that stretch. Obviously, you gotta be smart about them yanking your knee into that, but if you got a good partner, they can allow you to feel and access that range just a little bit more under control, then come back out. A lot of like externally rotated athletes, squatty athletes that are always pushing out, they can't really find that inside. Really tall, lanky athletes find it really easily, and it's kind of their movement strategy to succeed in a lot of things, but I think having that option is really nice. And the more that I do stuff like that, and was really doing it when I was following a lot of Joel Smith's Elastic Essential stuff, I noticed my vertical was increasing like crazy. My sprint speeds were increasing like crazy. And honestly, when I'm squatting my best, I'm rotating in, coming back up. I know FlexiBall talks about that a lot. And I used to do that a lot in high school when I was squatting, and my squats never hurt my back. And then I was told, like, I honestly, like a lot of strength coaches put a band around my knees a lot of times and push out when you're squatting, push out when you're squatting, doing that. And I was doing this band around the knees, and I always hurt my back when I was doing that. And it was just felt super inefficient, felt super kind of dumb. Camera died there, but unfortunately, or fortunately for you, I got a backup battery today. But I was saying that a lot of strength coaches would put a band around my knees and kind of force those knees out. And it just felt like a super stupid and inefficient movement pattern. Always hurt my back. Always felt like I wasn't loading the squat the way that I meant to load it. And whenever I let those knees kind of athletically come in, I feel so much better in my squats. But anyways, the whole mantra was like I needed my knees out. All these strength coaches were telling me I had my knees out. And honestly, everything I was doing was knees out at a certain point, and I never had access to go back in that knees in. And as soon as I got that access back, everything kind of exploded. So I think if you're a squat athlete, it pays to have that internal rotation of your hips available. We got 15 total Nordics left here. Let's rip. Oof. Oof. Oh my God, hammies are torn. Oh yeah, boom. All right, so on a day that I felt like shit, we got 50 Nordics done, we got a 7 rep max done, and we got some shit cleans done. I'm gonna talk about why I became a strength coach and we're gonna leave. Let's go. That's a day that you were putting up with my little bitch fest at the start, turned it into a solid session there, and felt pretty productive with that day. Hammies are feeling on fire, quads are feeling on fire, elbow is also feeling on fire. We're gonna grind and get after it tomorrow. Softball is pretty much over. We got one more league night. We got like 2 more tournaments left. And then training is, I'm really gonna get after training coming up here. So we're gonna have a lot more time for training. We'll still be BPing pretty much every day. And we'll be able to get after training a lot more. My goal is to get back up to like a 230, 235-ish. I don't wanna get too heavy if I'm gonna play outfield next year. Still gonna be BPing Tuesday, Thursdays with Dan and Duncan for sure. And then every other day by myself off a tee. But just having that time is gonna be nice. Really dialing in the diet recently. And goal is really to become a freak, take that next level. I think that's a lot of times in like the skill acquisition world. It's like you have that fast acceleration in that first like phase of going from shit to suck. And then we kind of went from suck to good here, and you get like all those feel good things. But going from good, or from suck to good, but going from good to great, that is when things, you really got to dial things in, you really got to get after it, and that's the goal this offseason, is go from good to great, go to that next level of things. I think a lot of that's going to be honestly physical, and getting after the swing a lot more this offseason, and really being like dialed in and focused on that swing. So I'm pretty excited. We laid the groundwork really, really hard this past year. Past 6 months, we've really got after training, and now everything's kind of, we got that base of the pyramid here. Now it's time to take it to the next level. I'm really excited for some of the things that we're working on. It's going to be awesome to have a group of like Duncan and Dan to kind of grow with, so that I'm pumped about that. One of the things I got in the Q&A is, why did I become a strength coach? It's something I'm decently passionate about. When I was a high schooler, I was kind of a loser. I was a loser hanging out with losers, and I didn't really see a way out. I grew up in a small town where the only option to do things was to drink and basically like wrestle and play sports. And when I was a freshman, I was kind of hanging out with seniors that I thought were like the cool kids. I was drinking probably 2 to 3 times a week as a freshman in high school with people that I thought were the coolest people in the world. Those people went off to college, and almost all of them got kicked off of their football teams, got kicked out of college for drinking, for doing stupid shit, dropped out of college. And I realized the people that I was hanging out with were not winners. They were not cool. I thought they were cool because they were seniors, you're a freshman, you're like in a group, you're part of something for the first time, think you're sweet. And I realized very quickly that they weren't cool, they weren't sweet, they were kind of losers, and I was also a loser. It wasn't their fault that they were losers and dragging me down. It was that I was a loser and I was attracting that around me. And I just remember I walked into the weight room for the first time, and Coach Herm was the first person to challenge me and put some expectations on me. And he never did it in like a super hard way even, but he showed me a pathway forward indirectly. It was never like he picked me out specifically and did this stuff. It was never like he called me out for being a loser. I don't even think he knew about the drinking or the partying or anything like that with me. I hit it pretty well. It was just the pathway of like just being a strong male, that somebody that I idolized. I walked in the weight room like, I want to be somebody like that. That guy is not a loser. I can feel it off of him. He's not a loser. He is a winner. And he had a peace about him. He had like a strength about him that I recognized and I wanted to be a part of, right? And as a coach, he provided me a spot and an opportunity, a weight room, to develop some of those skill sets with me, develop hard work, develop confidence. Gave me a spot to like prove to myself with data points over and over again. If I show up here, these numbers go, right? And it was a very linear process. If you show up to the weight room, you squat when I tell you to squat, you follow the program, you do the things I tell you to do, look at all these numbers, look how much stronger you got, look how much better on the field you got. And it was very inspiring to me. And that's not even to mention just the life lessons that he taught me and that he preached. And again, all of it was very indirect. It was never like you are the chosen one, I'm gonna fix you, or you are a troubled child, I'm gonna save you. It was none of that. Just his presence and who he was and the environment that he provided and placed me in and allowed me to be a part of. And that was super inspiring for me. And then once I started to get those data points, it's like, I want to light that fire in other people. I wanted to help other people do that. And it was the first time in my life where I was like, I want to go be a coach. Like, I wanted to go do something, right? I always wanted to be an NFL player. That was like my only dream. And then I started to develop, like, I also want to go be a leader. Like, I want to be like Coach Herm. And it was a powerful moment and something that I always will feel indebted to and is unbelievably grateful for, but something also that I feel a responsibility to pay back. And Coach Herm really had a strong love. I don't want to say it was a tough love, but a strong love in the sense of, if you were not performing, if you were not showing up, if you were not meeting expectations, not expectations he set on you, but expectations that he knew you had of yourself, and expectations and potential that he saw in you that you weren't fulfilling, he let you know that in a non-demeaning way, in a way that didn't make you feel like shit in a way, because I don't want it to be like this army dictatorship, because I know that goes in such a wrong direction for so many kids, but in a way in which, hey, you are not doing this, and you could be, why are you not, right? And just providing that tough love and constant reminders of that. And I think in our society, that is not something that is rewarded, that is not something that is done very often, because everybody wants to be everybody's friend, everybody wants to be kind, everybody wants to kind of be that crab in the bucket, to where if I'm not living up to my expectations and you're not living up to your expectations, if I don't call you out and you don't call me out, then we can kind of just coast through life. But then everybody is miserable, right? And Coach Herm really set that expectation of, if you're not living up to your expectations, I'm going to live up to my expectations as a coach, and I'm going to fucking call you out. And you can't call me out because I'm living up to my expectations, right? And it's that strong, tough love that not a lot of people want to provide, and not a lot of people want to do, but almost everybody yearns for. The amount of times I've given people tough love, and it's not an easy situation. It's calling somebody out on something that they said they wanted to do. They say they want to stop vaping, you call them out on vaping. Say they want to show up to workouts, and you call them out on not showing up to workouts, right? They say they want to be somebody else, and then you call them out on doing that. Those are not easy conversations. Every time you call somebody out after that first initial conflict, because they will push back, because they want to see if you actually mean it. If I push back on you when you call me out on that, are you going to be strong enough to hold up? If you're not strong enough to hold up on that first pushback, how are you going to be strong enough when I actually need you, right? And I think that's what Coach Herm did a very, very good job of, is when he would call you out, or he would call a teammate out, and then that teammate push back, or I push back on the things that he was saying, he would be strong in it and be like, you can't really say anything in those settings, because I know you want to become this, and I'm also living up to my own expectations, and look what happens when you provide enough data points to yourself to be able to go do these things. Look at the person you can become. Look how much more fulfilling life is. Look how much better you feel about yourself when you do these things. And he withstood the wave of emotion, that first wave of emotion, to allow you to become yourself, and really provided that strength. And again, I think it's a strength that is kind of lost in our society. And the more strong men that you lose, the more, and I won't even say men, but the more strong leaders that you lose in society, the more crabs in the bucket that it becomes, and the easier it becomes to surround yourself with people that allow you to be somebody you don't want to be. And then everybody's miserable, and everybody's doing OnlyFans, and everybody's making decisions that they're not happy with, right? And everybody justifies it, right? Because everybody's doing it, right? I just think it's a very backwards way of living life, because we don't want to deal with something that is uncomfortable emotionally, and we don't want to lose a friend. But again, you lose that friend, you don't call them out, because they become somebody that you don't want them to become, and they become somebody that they don't want to become. So you will still lose that person regardless. You just lose them in a slower way, in a more almost sad way, rather than being able to provide a strength that allows them to become who they want to become. And that really inspired me as a coach, and it's something that I take a great pride in, and something I've learned a ton from indirectly, and just his way of handling that conflict, and providing strong love, and providing strong leadership for people, and also just being a person worth following. Again, Coach Herm never, I mean, he had speeches and talks and everything like that, but it was never like this rah-rah thing, right? It was just who he was. You could look to him as a light. You could look to him as strength, because it's who he lived his life. It was never this raw, it was never this motivational ET speech that got you to believe in him. It was just, this is who this guy is. And that's really something that I really want to model my life after. When everybody talks about how do you build buy-in, how do you get people to follow you, how do you become a better leader, it's like, lead yourself in your own life, become a leader in your own life, and a lot of these things become easy because then people can just look at you rather than looking at that motivational message that you have to come. You don't have to create it. In the same way you shouldn't have to create content, you should just be living a life worth recording and then posting it. I really believe the same thing is with leadership. You shouldn't have to force leadership. You should just become a good enough leader of your own life, good enough steward of your own life that people want to look at you. People don't want to look at you, but people just look at you and understand that is somebody I want to, in some aspects of life, because everybody has flaws, everybody has things that you don't want to model, but in some aspects of that person's life, I want to model that and I want to become that. I want to become a father like that person. I want to become a coach like that person. I want to become a leader like that person. I want to become a speaker like that person, right? And I think that's a very powerful thing. And I think it comes with a lot of emotional baggage, holding that ground for other people. And it's something that has been unbelievably powerful in my life and hopefully something I model as a coach in and of myself, being able to handle that emotional baggage for people and being able to be that strong person for people. And it's something that's super important in my coaching journey and something that I've really, really tried to work on. So why did I become a coach? Because of Coach Herm. And hopefully other people become a coach because of me. And hopefully people become a coach from that. And Coach Herm's legacy is this massive sprawl. And whoever inspired Coach Herm to become a coach, it's all from this thing, right? So a strong person has a butterfly effect on the rest of the world, and it's really how you make the difference. And in the same way I talked about the politic game where we focus on the small things and not the big things. If you just focus on the big things, that butterfly effect has a much bigger effect than you could ever imagine, and that's how you change the world. You change the world with the 10 athletes in front of you, not the million athletes on Instagram, right? And I think that's super important. So that's my message. That's why I became a strength coach, and it's something I think is powerful. We'll get after it tomorrow. Appreciate you guys watching. Keep chopping the wood.